you would say that Primoz needs to push it. Doesn't necessarily need to get rid of Enric Mas because he will take time in the last time trial in Madrid. So that's why I think a little advantage for Enric Mas tomorrow. He's the favorite at plus 275, but I still think it's good odds. So Enric Mas wins the stage tomorrow, plus 275.
Hi, I'm Spencer Martin, along with Johan Bruyneel, and this is Outcomes.
Outcomes is not an online gambling operator or a gambling site of any kind. We are simply here to provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. It is a responsibility of all visitors to this podcast to check current local laws in their area or country before doing any gambling online. It is your responsibility to know and follow your local laws in place. Although we try best to provide accurate information on Outcomes, we cannot be held responsible for any inaccurate or incorrect information which is mentioned on this show. If you place any bets based on the conversations on Outcomes, you confirm or understand that it is possible to lose some or all monies used when betting on sports or doing any gambling. You cannot hold Outcomes responsible for any such losses. Our podcast is here to provide entertainment and should be viewed as that and nothing more. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Outcomes. We're predicting stage 13 of the Vuelta a España. Johan, before we get your take on who's going to win and how it's going to play out, I just want to pick your brain about stage 12, which just wrapped up. Won by second division Spanish team, Equipo, Kern, Pharma, Pablo Castrillo. Is that how you say his name? Impressive.
Pablo Castrillo.
Really impressive stage win from a breakaway with full of guys that we picked. Max Poole second. I thought he was going to catch him at the end. Marc Soler, your pick third. This was obvious. I don't think many people had. You might have generational wealth if you bet on Pablo to win the stage, and then he won. But it really was like a classic breakaway. Like it came into the finish. There was attacking. It would stall out, and then whoever timed it right and pushed was going to win. Pablo did. What was your take there?
Yeah, well, I mean, he timed it right, but, you also have to have the legs to take it to the finish. It was still very hard. And Pablo Castrillo is, in my opinion, of the non-World Tour riders, the best Spanish rider. Young guy still. Had a really good season until now. He's with Kern Pharma. I've heard that he's moving on to a big team. I haven't seen any confirmation yet. From what I've seen, he still has a contract with Kern Pharma, but probably with a clause that allows him to move on if it's a bigger team, or like a World Tour team. That's very usual. Definitely, a big talent. This was the fourth stage he was in a breakaway, in the decisive breakaway, actually, the fourth time. He was amongst a group of 6-7 really good riders, and timed it right. But then, he won that battle against the Swiss rider. What's his name?
Mauro
Swiss
Schmidt.
champion, Mauro Schmidt. Initially it looked like Schmidt was gaining ground on him, but he defended really well and took it to the finish. Very emotional victory also, because, at least here in Spain, we've seen that the majority of the audience will probably not be aware of that. But this morning or last night, the founder and owner of the company and of the team passed away, and so they started this morning with like a special mission, and he dedicated the victory to him. So it was a very special day for them, emotional, and also as that team, to win a stage in the Vuelta. They are a team that had received an invitation. So, for them, this is the summum of the year to win a stage in the Vuelta. But, well deserved. He was the smartest, and then, he had to be strong. I'm not going to say he was the strongest, but he was very strong. He defended that lead really well. So I was rooting for him.
To be in 4 breakaways in the same Vuelta so far, that's incredibly impressive. That's better than a lot of the guys getting paid 7 figures
Absolutely.
on big World Tour teams. Did you know this team's, their biggest victory before this was winning the overall of the Tour of Alsace in 2021? They'd never even won a dot pro race before. Mm-hmm. They've got to be happy with this, but we've both been noticing, like, both the wildcard teams, Euskaltel and Kern Pharma, really good. Like, these are not ducks. They're not out there just riding along. Like, they've been taking the race to people.
Yeah, of course, they've been in breakaways whenever there was a breakaway stage, like nobody wanted to. So it's always been Kern Pharma and Euskaltel, logical. But every time they had guys also in the final, whether it was in the sprint stages or in other stages, And this guy, Pablo Castrillo, is somebody with a good future. He has an older brother who was a few years ago was on Movistar, but it looks like Pablo, the younger guy, is the better of the brothers, the bigger talent. So yeah, I mean, well deserved, for all the reasons I just said.
Yeah, big guy too, 74 kilos. He was maybe paying for that in the last 2K when he started to lose time, but I think that helped him a lot when it was not as steep in the middle of the climb. He could just put out so much power relative to the others behind. GC, nothing really happened at all, I think, because of stage 13. Stage 14, 15, 16 are all incredibly hard. It might be the hardest lineup of stages I've ever seen in the middle of a Grand Tour, back to back to back to back like that. But so decathlon, should we talk about this for a second? Decathlon, they kind of blocked the road today. They're not as aggressive about blocking the road as they've been in past stages. Did we talk about these yellow cards on the show yesterday?
We did not. I mean, I only saw it afterwards in the results. So 3 riders received the yellow card for blocking the road. I mean, listen, it is something that happens. Usually when there's a big fight, attacks left, right, and center, at some point you see that the breakaway is going, and once everybody says, okay, this is it, then the team of the leader or whatever team is controlling kind of goes all the way over the width of the road, and they block the road. I mean, depends how. I mean, I haven't seen the incident we're talking about, but apparently Carapaz crashed because of it and was complaining about it. And 3 riders of Decathlon AG2R received the yellow card, which, it's not a big deal initially, but if you get another one, you're out of the race.
Well, that's what I thought. And then it was either Patrick or Benji on the Lantern Rouge show, said that these are like fake yellow cards, that they're just trying the system out.
It is an experiment for the moment. Yeah. That's true. It's not valid yet. So I don't know I don't know the rules precisely enough to know that if you get a second yellow card, it becomes actually a real red card, which is the same like in soccer, right?
Yeah, it would be devastating though. If you could imagine, like losing 3 riders, that would probably
especially for Decathlon. I mean, that's like, wow. I mean, and there's still 8 riders in the race, so they would definitely feel it because they need the whole team. I'm pretty sure they're going to be more careful, but it does happen. Whether that's deliberately hindering other riders, that's a bit of a stretch, I think. There's nothing that can prohibit a team from, like, when they're chasing, all of a sudden they go one next to each other.
Yeah,
the road is 6-7 meters wide. I mean, if there's no more space, there's no more space, right? And it's just a fraction of. It's a moment, right? Like usually when you are going to attack or try to go across, you need to come with speed from the back. So that's obviously. I mean, there's probably space, but there's no space for somebody who comes with speed. Which is, I think, the purpose of a team like going all over the road. So yeah, I mean, I think it was a bit exaggerated, honestly. Now, I don't know exactly how Carapaz crashed. I mean, he seemed pretty upset about it. I saw his interview and he seemed really upset. So something must have happened. But then again, I don't know if EF in another situation hasn't done the same already in the past. We don't know.
Well, I'm surprised in retrospect, we're off topic, but I'm surprised. If you remember, it was Tour of Flanders 2 years ago on one of the steep climbs, DSM slams the brakes on everyone behind. There wasn't any crashes, I don't think. And then they try to do some team breakaway by making everyone stop and get off their bikes. And then they ride away as a team. Kind of a silly idea, actually, if you think about it.
That was actually a lot worse.
It was a lot worse.
That was a lot worse, and it was really intentional. Yeah, like, okay, we know it's extremely narrow here. We're gonna go 4 or 5 riders wide, really slow down on purpose to make half of the peloton really be having to put foot on the ground, and then attack with 3 or 4 riders for nothing, because nothing. Yeah.
And people are going to chase you because they're pissed.
Yeah,
The whole peloton's going to say, "Let's go get this team that just screwed us over." But Yeah, that was way worse. I was surprised that was not punished, but maybe they're trying to keep that from happening.
Well, we didn't have yellow cards yet then. They probably would have gotten yellow cards that day, but I wonder if you have a yellow card in a one-day race, what that
carries
means
over.
If it carries over for a period of time, I don't know. I don't know.
Like in a Champions League match, if you get a yellow, it carries over. I'm out of my depth here, but I think there's some sort of like intra-tournament.
When there's a tournament, it is, yeah.
So maybe they group the classics together. I don't know.
I come back to the same as always, Spencer. I think that the giving the yellow cards, there must be consistency in applying the rules and the criteria, and that's obviously very subjective. What's right, what's wrong, what's allowed, what's not allowed, depending on who's the commissaire. Let's not forget. There was a rider in the Tour de France who got fined to stop and say hi to his family in a time trial. So
criminal. I'm glad. Yeah, we can't have that. I'd forgotten about that. That was pretty funny that happened. Like in the U.S., what's sad about that is that was like the biggest story out of the Tour de France in the United States, which is not really what you want. But tomorrow's stage 13. It's tough. We didn't see a lot of action today. What I was going to say, we didn't see a lot of action today. People were happy to let Decathlon slow it down. No attacks on the final climb because tomorrow's really hard. It doesn't look that hard when you just look at the profile. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 categorized climbs. There is 3,700 meters of climbing, so that's about 12 to 13,000 feet. But really, the last 5K are the worst. Technically, the last climb is 7.5 kilometers at 9%. But the first 2K are really mild. And then so it's really a 5-kilometer climb. I'm going to guess 10%, 11% average.
Between 12 and 14%, Spencer.
12 and 14. Yeah. So that's brutal. That's absolutely brutal. Johan, I'll list off the favorites and then you can tell us who you think is going to win. But Enric Mas plus 275. Enric Mas, the favorite of a mountain stage in a Grand Tour. This is like new territory. Primoz Roglic plus 325, Mikel Landa plus 1400, Michael Woods plus 1600, Eddie Dunbar plus 1800, Jack Haig plus 1800, Matthew Riccatello plus 2200, Mateusz Schelmoza plus 2500, Richard Carapaz plus 3300, Max Poole, I don't know if he can do it again, plus 3300. Goes on and on. We'll call him out when we need to. But Johan, how do you think this plays out, and who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, well, I think it's the most logical outcome is that it's a GC battle. It's a very hard stage, and as you said, the last climb is brutal. The Tour of Spain has finished here a few times. I remember one year Contador won before in front of Froome and Valverde and Joaquin Rodriguez. So if you hear those names, it's easy to deduct that it's super hard. I think if we think about GC. Logically, there's only two guys who can win. It's either Primoz Roglic or Enric Mas. I'm going to pick Enric Mas for tomorrow, because he's been the only one who's been able to follow Primoz Roglic every single time. He's the only one who was able to drop Primoz Roglic at some point. And then thirdly, I think that if Enric Mas plays it smart tomorrow, he can profit. I mean, although profit on 14% slopes, it's not easy. But Primoz needs to push it tomorrow. Primoz needs to push it. He needs to drop O'Connor and take as much possible time. It could be that that's his main goal and that the stage win is secondary. And in that case, I think Enric Mas could win the stage. Because I mean, if this keeps going and Primoz and Enric Mas are kind of similar, you would say that Primoz needs to push it. Doesn't necessarily need to get rid of Enric Mas because he will take time in the last time trial in Madrid. So that's why I think a little advantage for Enric Mas tomorrow. He's the favorite at plus 275, but I still think it's good odds. So Enric Mas wins the stage tomorrow, plus 275.
I mean, he doesn't win very often, would be the downside. That'd be the case against him. He appears to be the best climber in this race, though. So it stands to reason he would win. I'm going to go Primož Roglič. He's plus 350 on DraftKings in the US. And here's the little secret with the odds like this at plus 250 or plus 275 and plus 350. You can bet on both and make money no matter which one wins. Personally, I'll probably do that. Where you get bit is if someone else wins. Oops, you messed that up. But I find it hard to believe that one of these two won't win. You know, it's like what we saw, was that yesterday on the steep climb? They were the first to go. Sure, they got reeled in, but tomorrow's a lot harder. I think the difference will be greater between them and the rest. Ben O'Connor's just going to be hanging on for dear life. Not a good climb for him. This will be a tough day for Ben O'Connor.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's one of Moss or Roglič. I'm personally just going Primož because you hate, like, these are reductive terms, but like, he's a winner. The guy just wins. Like if you lay out Enric Mas's wins against Primož Roglic's wins and said, hey, you got to pick one of these, you go Roglič. But this is actually, I'm surprised that the odds are weighted this way. It's probably correct though, based on what we've seen, where Enric Mas does look a little bit better on some of these climbs. I have a hard time believing he's going to win, but there's a first time for everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think the only other possibility to pick another rider is someone from a breakaway. If it's the GC guys, I don't see how Landa could win. I don't see how Skjelmose could win or Adam Yates
because it can't be tactical, right? There's
no. I mean, it's so steep. It's until now they've not been able to follow them. The only one who was able to follow them in one stage was Lennart van Eetveld, and he's gone home. So that ship has sailed. So I'm going to bet on a breakaway possibility also. And that's obviously very difficult to choose someone, but Jack Haig. Jack Haig is up there. He's not bad. He loses little time every day, a little bit, but if there's a breakaway, I think that he is a guy who can eventually win the stage, especially he's plus 1,800 on Unibet. I don't know if you see anything better somewhere else, but he's a solid rider who seems to be getting a bit better through this Vuelta. So him winning from a breakaway is not a bad option.
He's plus 2,600 on FanDuel, which is really good. I mean, he's a good rider. He's fringe GC at this point, but this will not be a big gap between let's just assume a breakaway wins. It's not going to be a day where it's 10 minutes. It's going to be a minute, 90 seconds at the most between the winner of the theoretical breakaway and the GC.
Yeah, because Jack Haig is only 6 minutes behind all these other riders who are going for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So, they're also not going to let him be in a breakaway. And we start to see already riders who are thinking about top 5, even top 10, when there's a breakaway and somebody's threatening that position. So that's probably, if Jack Haig would be in a breakaway tomorrow, they're not going to take a huge amount of time because people are starting to think about their own position already in the GC.
2021 Giro, stage 14. This kind of reminds me of that, where Lorenzo Fortunato wins. Bernal's the first GC guy. He's a minute 43 back from Fortunato. Like that's how Haig would win. I don't hate it. Plus 2,600. That's pretty good. I'm going to go same logic here, different rider. And I'm hesitant to even say this out loud, but Michael Woods plus 1,600. He's plus 1,800 on FanDuel. He will crack this at some point. He is a good rider. He is a smart rider. He's a rider who has won. If you've been watching the beginning of these stages, he has forgotten how to get into breakaways. Like he cannot, he's just missing every move and then trying to bridge by himself. My son was asking me what is going on, and thinking, well, maybe these breakaways are riding harder than they used to, and you just can't bridge across, and maybe that's an old tactic. But I think eventually they're going to get this right. Woods will get in the move. This reminds me a little bit of the stage he won at the Tour de France, not this last year, but the year before that. It was a similar kind of some mountains leading into a very steep climb. He's so light, like he's gotten so light later in his career that he can just fly away. Like if you remember how fast he went by Matteo Jorgensen when he won that Puy de Dôme stage, and Jorgensen's a good climber. So just based on that, like I know what Woods can do on these steep pitches if he gets into a move. Plus 1,600 or plus 1,800 on FanDuel. I'm going to go with him.
Okay.
Plus 1,900. He just moved on FanDuel.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it's like you say, Spencer. At some stage he's going to get in the break, and we've been picking him a few days, and the day we're not picking him. So
yeah, if we don't pick him, he's going to win.
Tomorrow he has a chance. I can back that up. I agree.
So, and we don't, as you said, I don't think it's worth it. And this is famous last words territory, but I don't think it's worth it to pick other GC riders because it's Primoz or Enric Mas and then go wild cards. You can probably make the money work out where you'd win no matter who wins out of all those. But let's do head-to-heads really quick, and then we will get you off to bed, Johan. The first one, Adam Yates, minus 140, Pavel Sivakov plus 102. It's kind of a tough one, actually.
Teammates. Sivakov rides well. Sivakov is riding well, man. I think he's probably the one that hangs on to the GC the most of all the riders in. Let's see. Where is he in GC? Sivakov. So
he's further back than you'd think.
No, he lost time one day. He lost a lot of time one day.
But he is still. He's in 11th. No, he's in 13th. He keeps falling down. But he's only 649 behind O'Connor. So he's in that clump.
Where's Adam Yates?
530 and 8th.
Okay. I
think Sivakov is in better shape, though, if I had to pick one.
Yeah, he does. I'll pick Sivakov.
The only thing, though, I was surprised how big he was when I saw him in person. Big guy, but I guess we just have to trust that he's in better shape.
He's in good shape. He's in good shape.
Plus 102. Christian Rodriguez, minus 116. And not like big. I'm not calling him fat. He was like a big athletic man.
He's a tall guy. He's a tall guy. I mean,
he cut an impressive figure. Christian Rodriguez, minus 116. George Bennett, minus 116.
Christian Rodriguez.
Okay.
Because he's Spanish.
I kind of like that. Enric Mas, minus 140. Primoz Roglic, plus 102. I'm shocked Roglic is the positive one here.
Yeah. Well, I picked Enric Mas, but for this head-to-head, I think we should pick probably the guy who has the positive odds.
This feels like
it's a 50-50, so I think we should pick Primoz.
Yeah. Richard Carapaz. Oh, and just to go back to the one before, Bennett said he thought he would get more time the other day, and he doesn't. Top 10 is not a huge motivator for him. He thought he could win the stage, and he thought he'd get more time, so he probably isn't fighting for that top 10. Richard Carapaz, minus 174. Ben O'Connor, plus 126.
Carapaz.
This is a tricky one because the crash. He seems very upset about that.
Yeah,
crash.
But he's not hurt.
Okay.
But
I mean,
I think Carapaz
I don't have good feelings about O'Connor either.
Well, he didn't look great the other day, but I saw his interview today, and he was pretty upbeat and saying that he felt great. So. I mean, what is he going to say? He's not going to say.
I was just going to say that. I don't know. I'm kind of getting worried. A lot of these climbs are steep. These guys are real fast. Sepp Kuss, minus 235. Lorenzo Fortunato, plus 172. Crazy that Fortunato, I just mentioned him, and I haven't seen him this whole race.
Yeah. Sepp Kuss, no?
I think Sepp Kuss, for sure.
Yeah.
I was going to borderline pick him to win this stage.
Yeah.
He won't. I don't think he's in this. He's not.
Where is he in GC now, Sepp Kuss?
It's kind of in like he's stuck in no man's land. He's 15th at 8 minutes back.
Mm-hmm. Then we'll let him go.
No, those days are done. He's not.
Especially also, I mean, let's say if he's in a break and they get 3-4 minutes, then we have the 5-minute guys who will start to say, hey, we can't let that guy come back because that's for sure a place that's gone. Top 10 place.
And there's legitimately there's 9 people in that bubble, that would then their teams would chase him down.
Mm.
And that is the last one. Let me check King of the Mountains if anything's changed on that. I mean, we'll know a lot more about King of the Mountains at the end of the stage tomorrow. It's actually a little bit of a dark point right now. Primoz Roglic plus 200. It's not, I don't feel like that's amazing for the uncertainty and risk you're taking on.
Yeah, no, it's not his goal. It's not his goal. You know, it's not a goal for Primoz. If it happens, it's because it's going to come to him. Still, there's a lot of mountains to come. Still, let's stay away from the King of the Mountains, Spencer.
Okay. Well, Johan, do you have anything else to add before we get going?
That's it.
All right. Well, thank you. We will be back tomorrow for stage 14, and have a good evening.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Bye.